Interesting, we're back. I restarted because we're buffering. So if this still buffers, just immediately let me know. I'm on their Wi-Fi. So if this doesn't work, I'll just give up. So one thing I've noticed, it says 20 frames per second. This could be even worse. Yeah, 19 frames per second. I could lower my kilobit rate, but it's 2022. We can't have good Wi-Fi and Tractor Supply. That sucks. But yeah, I'm using their Wi-Fi. So one means good. So their inventory is a lot less from what I've noticed, because this section used to be a lot more stuff, and they just don't have the inventory. You beat me, River. Would River say, let's go? Okay, so oh yeah, y'all are racing to who could get in there first. So those hose clamps should be in this area, because this is where the fancy dancy plumbing stuff is. And like all these fittings, they used to have a lot more of this stuff too, for irrigation and fertilizer. So shows I'm doing about 21 frames per second, 26. So river tables in here again. Tammy, oh fun, I want to see what you buy. Yeah, the thing is this is what I'm here for, but it's going to be hard not to buy the whole store. I'm here for these fancy hose clamps. They're not very common, but I want to just I want to use them, because that's what I use on stuff that I really care about, is the good hose clamps. I just don't like the other ones, but the other ones will work. I got a box of those new today. This is not something you see every day. Manuals. Yeah. Tractor manuals. What do we got here? Let's see. Spent many hours on one of those. 1948. My grandpa had so many of these. They had umbrellas on them, most of them, which an umbrella is the thing that just goes over the tractor cab that was not there. We didn't have any Ford tractors. We grew up, we're all John Deere. Oh look, I had one of these at one time, but my brother traded in for a planter, and my grandpa gave it to me. My brother stole it and traded in for a planter. Gotta love him for that. All right, yeah, we didn't have any international stuff. We were all John Deere family. All of our farms, everybody has John Deere. All right, so these are some O-rings. I already got some, but I know I can get them here too for my fuel system. But I got some new O-rings for the fuel system today. I got 4. And these look like the size. I should just buy a bag. I think this is the size and that's not, but anyway, still looking for the fancy hose clamps. And I'm not seeing them. They'd be in this area too. So are we buffering? Buffer, buffer, buffer. Wow. That's great. Well, I'm on their Wi-Fi. This is as good as it's going to get. So all these buildings are in Faraday cages, and I'm on T-Mobile, so maybe I'm going to have to change carriers, because it seems like AT&T penetrates buildings better than T-Mobile, even though I'm on their Wi-Fi. Am I still buffering? 20 frames per second. Look at this. 10 watt solar panel. Okay, this is how ridiculous this is. 10 watt. 10 watts. On the real market, you pay $1 a watt at the most for a solar panel. So this should be, in theory, 25 bucks, because the smaller the wattage you get, you still have to pay for the framing and the material. So a 100 watt panel generally costs about 70, 80 bucks. A good panel. This 10 watt panel, all right, guess how much it cost? Go ahead in the chat, guess first. Hey Graham, what's happening? Hey, we the people's in the chat saying buffer, buffer. Are we still buffering? All right, so Put your guess in the chat. How much does this 10-watt panel cost? You normally would pay like 25 bucks for that. Let's see, Ford 8N, 9N tractor. Yeah, see, we didn't ever have any of those old Fords. We had Model A's, B's, and 4020s, 4030s, 4430s, 4640, 4650. No, we never had any 46. We didn't have any 50 series. We always had 40 series. All right, well, you didn't put anything in the chat, so I might be buffering too bad. 140 bucks for one 10-watt solar panel. Who would ever buy that? You could put a 100-watt panel in for like 70 bucks. You know, a 50-watt panel would be better, cheaper. But 10, what a joke. And see, these things, I know you don't need much power to charge these batteries, but on a, I don't know, and I know it's smaller and it takes up less space. I know. And look at this. Solar powered zapper, electric fence. 180 bucks. 210. Yeah. They got some small ones. This one will only do 2 miles. So that's not much for 130 bucks. Here's the funny part. My grandpa had these old school electric fence chargers. They were old and metal, the zappers, and he would take them to a Taylor alternator and they would modify them to put bigger capacitors in them, and those suckers would zap. He had a fence we'd have to work on his property. It went around his whole property, and I don't know if it was 400 acres or what it was, but that he had one zapper in the barn for the whole fence. When you were up close to the barn, you stayed clear of that thing because it had more energy to shock you when you were closer to the barn. But as you started getting further away from the house and the barn, the fence would, it'd lose its juice. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot less inventory in the store because all this is just food for animals and stuff, like feed and toys for animals. I don't like the way they rearranged the store. It's got me, everything's backwards. So yeah, I don't like the new arrangement. So this is where I need to be. This is where all the man stuff is, over here. Yeah, see, what I'm saying is there's a lot of open space now. And maybe they're not done rearranging, but I don't know. Maybe it's in my head, but it seems like there's less inventory. By now in a Tractor Supply, I would have already had something in my hand, is my point. So, all right. Oh man, gotta have some of those tackle blocks. All right. Ooh, LED lights. It's hard to pass those up. I don't need any currently for any projects. I do need one of these though. I need a 2-inch ball, but I don't want a tangent on that right now. I want to stay focused. Focus. Switches, electrical stuff. Now I'm gonna have to rig up a temporary system to run the fuel pump just to see if it's gonna work to give me 12 volts back there, but that'll be easy to do. I'll just probably come straight off the battery, just temporarily with some clamps. And because I want to see if it works first, and maybe we'll just take a test drive with it rigged up on the battery, and then I'll eventually hook it up to the fuel pump relay like a normal person would do. What would be funny is I could hook up my fuel pump. Now I'm just being an asshole. Let's see if they got the hose clamps over here. I could hook my fuel pump up to, I could put a Potter Bumfield relay on the back of my antenna output on my stereo. So here's what I could do. I could make my stereo turn on my fuel pump. So you couldn't start the truck without the stereo being on. But see, then I'd have to wire my stereo, bypass it from the ignition, because a lot of times vehicles will not turn on the radio until the vehicle starts. But this is a 91. I'd have to check and see if that would be the case. But yeah, I could be a jackass and hook my fuel pump up to my stereo output just to be on the antenna output. Remember the old antennas? They're still selling radios. The older ones have the antenna where it supplies 12 volts to your antenna to raise and lower your antenna. So here's some electrical stuff. Yeah, see, I'm telling you, look at these shelves. They're just bare. This was the electrical stuff. They used to have a ton more of this stuff. They had a lot more extension cords. Yeah, it's like they rearranged the store so that it didn't look like they don't have as much inventory. Like even the light bulb section is less. Drink water. I've had plenty of water. Mrs. Vic BC is in here. Awesome. Let's see. I like the 4020 John Deere. My cousin has. Yeah, I spent many hours on a 4020. I think it was a 4020 or 4010, hauling round bales one at a time back in the day from one field to another where they were being picked up, or from the field to the pasture, or yeah. So yeah, those were cool. That was a cool thing to do because you got a lot of road time hauling round bales. So that was kind of fun doing that. That was one of my favorite things to do actually when I was a kid, because when you're plowing, that gets boring really quick and it's hard not to fall asleep, and I did that a lot. Yeah, even these casters, I kind of remember this section being a little bit bigger, but what's weird is look how narrow this aisle is. That's really narrow, I guess because I got the buckets of stuff here, but you would think if they're trying to make it look like they got the same inventory, they'd make them wider, but maybe they plan on putting more inventory in here because supply chain, they want to just have it on the, you know, in the building kind of thing. What is this? What is this round hole for? It's almost like it's checking for current. Why would that have a hole in it? Oh, I guess so you could grab it. Oh, see, that's smart. Yeah, so it's easier to plug in and unplug for the most part. See, that's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. But putting computer chips in all these vehicles for no reason, all these engineers and all these companies are looking for an excuse to put a computer chip in a vehicle and any type of thing they do. And that's not progress. But this is progress. So, yeah. So now when you hook up your trailer lights, you're not sitting there fighting that thing to unplug it. Because sometimes they're bare. That's definitely an upgrade. I don't know where that goes, where I'd put it back up. Let's see, that's going to bother me if I don't try to figure it out though. 4-pin trailer. That looks good. Or right there. There was no room on the other one. I guess they're falling off. Well, it looks like we're batting 1,000 on no hose clamps. I really thought I got them here. And see, this is something I just wish I had at the house all the time. I need hardware like this when I'm working around the property all the time. But it's always a trip away. I need to get some of this stuff too for working on the roof. I'm gonna have to pull the solar panels off the roof before the roofing people come over, because I don't want them jacking with them. I know I've only got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels up there, but they're gonna have to come off the roof.